Hey everyone, Jinx Oge here. Marvel's coming out with a new Storm series, and the writer is believed to be one of the writers from the Black Panther series, and the artist is one of the artists from the Gem and the Hologram series. So as we know, Storm has had minis before, and she's also had one solo series. And to get excited about that, I'm going to be reviewing the last solo series by Greg Pak. Unfortunately, there were only two volumes. So this is what we're going to work with today. As many of you know, Storm is my favorite character. You see the hair? Come on now. You see it. Okay, so let's get to it. First of all, I want to talk about just the art. The art in this book is beautiful. In volume one, Make It Rain, the art is beautiful. This book has a way of making Storm look like an actual beautiful black woman. And I think a lot of the times artists draw Storm, they just draw a generic face or white lady face and just slap some black skin and white hair on it in the colors with the colorists. But here you can see that, I don't know how to say his name, Ibanez Hepburn. He draws her with features that are very African American, whether they're thick lips or a bit wider nose and just exotic eyes and just all these beautiful features that you'd see like in Naomi Campbell or Angela Bassett or what have you. And I love that because from from beginning to end, the art is perfect. And one of the other things I loved about this book was how Peck. So you just want to get in the Storm blog, hey? That's my cat Sky. Say hi. Now say goodbye, love. Mwah. That might happen a few times through this video. But as I was saying, what I loved about this book was the voice Greg Pak gave her. He gave Storm this very great narrative and just voice that echoes through both books. I have to say, through both books, he gives her just a great sense of who she is. He's obviously done his research with her. With that being said, he touches back into her history of Forge, which I love. Anything from the 80s that touches back on her like punk or mohawkish history with Yukio or Forge, it goes there, and I love it. And I like how it doesn't shy away from her being an X-Men too, because it's important that Storm's not too detached from the X-Men. I think with solo series they want to kind of break away from their teams, but I think it's important that you tap into that idea that Storm is, and a big part of her is X-Men. You can't just say, I'm Storm without the X-Men. No, that she is still the head mistress of the X-Men, and there's the things that personally come with that for her, and the baggage and all the other things while she juggles trying to be once a goddess, once a queen, a head mistress, and dating Wolverine, and still balancing exes. I think that's a great thing, to kind of story-wise. And on top of that, I have to say another thing that I thought was super interesting. Like I said, she's dating Wolverine right now, but she also has to talk with Forge, who is an ex. He was going to propose to her back in the 90s. I think he did. No, he did propose to her in the 90s, but he eventually second guessed it and didn't think she'd accept, so he left. But she did want to marry him, so that's a bit of the drama right there, which is interesting to read in because he does still have feelings for her. It's evident. Also, they have Yukio in this book. So as sorry, I'm just gonna hold him for this segment. Yukio, as many people in the internet debate, people wonder if Storm and Yukio were a bisexual couple or had an open relationship or what have you. And many things seem to address this, point to that direction, I mean. Storm and Yukio, there's been a very, very romantic element to them in many panels and in many of Chris Claremont's writings. He makes Storm have very strong feelings for her. She's fascinated by her. She, when she first meets her, she dons what many consider would be like a dykey lesbian look with the black leather and the mohawk. And many people at the time, gays apparently like were known for their leather and like chaps and sailor outfits and those kind of costumes. So at the time, that was very risque. Yes, and I know there's been other pairings too that were more appropriate because they were villains, like Mystique and Destiny were in a bisexual slash lesbian relationship. And that was more acceptable for villains to be gay because, you know, being gay is now, I guess it's in now, but back then it wasn't. But with Storm, you couldn't exactly, it's been speculated you couldn't exactly go there. So you had to kind of allude to it, but not. And it was funny because Pak in an interview, he said he did not know if Storm and Yukio were ever an item, a couple, and it was very ambiguous. So he said he's going to continue writing them that way, which I thought was really interesting, and that really comes through. So whether you believe they're a pair, a couple, used to be a couple or not, it kind of goes. It has its cake and it eats it too, which I really love. Next up, I want to kind of focus more on volume two. Okay, so Pack is still writing. He does a really good job. Um, Ibanez Hepburn, I just can't say his name. I'm so sorry. He still does a great job in some of the arts. However, this part irks me because there are other artists in this book that I don't know if it's the artist or the colorist, but somebody fucked up, and there are some issues in this volume two. The art is really ugly. Like, I'm not even gonna front. Like, there are parts with her and Gambit where they both look just hideous. And I say that from a place of Storm deserves better, especially when the art was perfect in volume one. Um, it's kind of hard to get through some of them just because the story is good, but at the same time, the art is just hideous. And I have to say, Pat drops the ball a little bit when it comes to writing in volume two. His villains for Storm seem a little generic. One of the members of Generation Hope, Kenji, comes back and he blames Storm for a lot of what happened, despite in previous X stories with Utopia, it had very little to do with Storm. I'm not even sure she was even present. I think maybe she was a background character that had no lines. So for him to come back and be like an arch nemesis for the final boss battle, pretty lame. I would have loved to see her touch base in with T'Challa, Black Panther, and just say, you know, in their story arcs, I know a lot of people love that pairing, but there are many episodes where he did not treat her very nicely. I mean, there's times where they were both fighting Doctor Doom together. Doom attacked Black Panther, and Storm came and just hit Doctor Doom with a lightning bolt, said, "Get off my husband!" And then Black Panther just stops the entire fight and starts screaming at Storm, saying, like, "This is between us men, and I can't have my woman fighting my battles," and just yelling at her. And it was just, there are so many disrespectful moments. Wakanda treated Storm kind of bad sometimes too, saying she wasn't one of them and not good enough. So I really would have liked her to actually go there. That'd have been nice to see her actually say, like, that wasn't fair. I've been worshipped as a goddess, bitch. I deserve better treatment. um, I would have also liked to see they touched base with Callisto and the Morlocks. I loved that. I would have loved to see more of just her being juggling, being like the woman who's very multifaceted from, like, whether it's Africa or New York. Many people don't realize that Storm is half American, half I want to say her mom's from Kenya, but I'm not positive because a lot of this is fictional. But her dad was American, her mom was from some part of Africa, and she flew there. They had Storm in America, so she was born in America. A lot of people don't know that. And then she was also then she moved back, and that's when everyone knows the plane crashed into her house, and she lost her parents, was trapped in the debris, where she developed claustrophobia, and then some thieves found her, and she became a thief in Cairo. And then so Storm's really from all parts of Africa, because she's been in Kenya and Cairo, Wakanda. So when I say she's from Africa, I don't mean I just don't know the country. I mean she's from everywhere, many different parts. So I think I wanted to see. I loved. I will say this. As we all know, Wolverine's dead. He died. And I love how my cat is creeping in the back of the video. But I love how Storm processes it. I thought that was one of the most beautiful womanly scenes I have seen from Storm since the 80s and 90s of her grieving Wolverine's death. That was one of the best parts of this book in volume two. I think I really would have wished they would have resolved the whole Yukio storyline. I feel like the book. I don't know if it was sales or what. I thought the sales were doing great. all the gay people and black people raving about this book and just loving it. So to hear sales didn't do so well, I'm calling bullshit because they're clearly bringing it back again to do another solo series with another writer. I just hope he can tap into Storm and who she is as well as Peck did for most parts. Because I was reading his Black Panther work, the writer, I can't remember his name, I'm sorry, but I really wasn't thrilled. I really didn't feel the magic. I just felt very, I don't know, it was a snooze fest. I'm sorry. I know he put a lot of heart into it. I just didn't really, it didn't resonate. And that's more so I'm biased. I really don't like Black Panther just because how some parts of their relationship with Storm left me very raw. I love him on the big screen. I think he is awesome in the MCU movies. In Civil War 2, I thought he was great. I can't wait to see the Black Panther movie. But in the comics, not so much. Same with Scarlet Witch. I love her in the movies, but in the comics, not so much. And speaking of movies, I thought Halle Berry did an okay job as Storm. I didn't care for her in the first movie, but by Days of Future Past, and even her portrayal on The Last Stand, I thought she did a good job. My cats are making so much noise right now, so forgive me. Um, with that said, Alexandra Shipp, I thought she did a good job in Apocalypse. I wanted to see more. Give us more Storm. I don't know why Jennifer Lawrence has all this fucking screen time and like Storm has like not even half that. Like that's ridiculous to me. I think people are just on the Jennifer Lawrence kick right now, and I'm kind of over it because I don't think she makes a good Mystique. But I loved how Alexandra Shipp gave us the mohawk. I love how she just had the accent down. She was pretty, and she made me believe she was a younger version of Hallie Storm while also giving us the Storm from the comic vibe too. So hopefully she keeps that up and brings it in for Dark X-Men Dark Phoenix as well. I heard she might even make a cameo, a Storm cameo in New Mutants, but that's not confirmed. So we'll see. But that's the Storm news, and that's my breakdown of Storm Solo. Overall, I would say I would give this series, I would give this one, Volume 1, 5 stars out of 5. And I would give this one, I want to say 3.5 because the ending felt rushed. Obviously, it was because it was only meant for two volumes. They had to kind of wrap it up. And the art, man, that was bad. And the villains, just not good. However, he still, like I said, has Storm's voice and soul and narrative down. And there's some really good moments, so don't pass this one up either. It's not like this one's bad. It's just when you go from this good to this, it's kind of like, I wish it was as good as this one. I feel like, this is definitely the better of the two. This is like, you know how you see a good movie and it's like a perfect movie and they come out with the sequel and you're like, it was all right, but the first one was still the best one. Yeah. So pick it up. I think at the end of the day, my review doesn't matter. It's what you think. So tell me if you've read it before, or what your thoughts are, or if you're excited for the new Storm solo series coming out soon next year. All right, me Jinx, signing out.